Ladies and gentlemen, well, welcome you here today to the Xtreme Racing League's Developmental League as we are about to take place for our next race in the season here at Spa-de-Francorchamps in the country of Belgium. I'm your host for today's race, St. Lear 13. I'm being joined by IPR 56. IPR, it's a pleasure to be able to share a booth with you again. I know our schedules don't normally align, we don't end up being together very often, but we're here now, so I just have to ask you, what can we expect from today's race here at Dev at Spa?
Well, thank you very much for the welcome, and I think today's race will, as always, be very, very interesting, and Belgium is such a classic track, a very long track, the longest actually in the Formula One grids, and I think the chance of rain is quite high as well here, so I think hopefully for the race and qualifying we're going to see a lot of interesting action on track.
Indeed, that could make things extremely interesting, doubly so considering that the extremely strict track limits mean that there is basically no room for error, no margin for error on numerous places on the circuit, and of course, we can't talk or think about Spa without mentioning the Al Rouge and Radillion complex of corners. It all starts as you do this massive flying run downhill, full throttle, and then there's a little bit of a bend to the left. You don't want to get on the brakes. What you want to do is just briefly get off the throttle for the smallest of moments so you can change your car's momentum. The moment you complete the slight turn to the left, you immediately have to start hooking it right and go uphill through a blind right-hander, and at the top of that, another left-hander right down the line, and that's assuming you did it right. We see so many times in real life and within XRL, drivers end up missing one of the corners, completely blow the apexes, end up invalidating lap times, or more significantly and more dangerously, completely destroy their cars. It happens in GT racing, it happens in prototypes, it happens for Formula 1, it happens for basically everything. That's going to be the main corner that most of us are going to be watching today to see if drivers can navigate it properly. So as we speak, we are now beginning to get loaded properly onto the racetrack. When I last saw it, said there were 19 drivers ready to go. We are anticipating a 20th driver to round out the field to appear a little bit later in qualifying. Don't know if he'll get a chance to properly set a lap, but there is anticipated to be a full 20-car field for today's race. Excuse me. Alright, so, IPR, I just want your opinion. You've been doing XRL stuff a little bit longer than I have. You're going to be a lot more familiar with a lot of the elements that comes to strategy in these 50% races. I know we're not even into Q3 yet, but when Q2 comes around, what is a tire choice that you believe is the best one to go with?
Well, I think we are probably going to be seeing, obviously, unless it is raining, looking dry for now, I think we're going to be seeing the majority of people trying with the mediums, but the thing is, with Belgium, it's a very long circuit, as I said, so you really don't have much chance in qualifying. So I reckon we'll see quite a few start on the mediums, but we probably will start to see a few move to the softs as maybe they realise they can't get the times they need. But I think mediums will be the best one to start on to try and get that long stint going.
Alright, you make a fantastic point, and already, right from the start, we have a retirement Xoro Lopez. I assume he's serving a qualifying ban. He will not get out there to begin a lap. One of the first drivers to get out onto the circuit is this man here in the Williams, PRUFC 1012, as he's already going down a nice long back straightaway. Already we see 4 cars out on the circuit. He has been joined by Herbinator 13, Twitch Boys, and Expose Venom. I also see who I believe is Rydell06 beginning to make the hard turn out of pit lane. And that's one other thing I do want to mention about this circuit. The pit lane entry and pit lane exit at Spa is it's not super unique. There are other tracks with strange pit lane entry and exits, but this one by Formula 1 standards is very, very interesting. Entering pit lane, you basically get onto a chicane, and then instead of coming back on the track, you and there's been an accident, and that is PRUFC. He has had a spin and has grazed the outside wall coming downhill in Sector 2. I see a little bit of front wing damage, and that will likely be enough to compromise his time. Oh, he's not the only one. Twitch Boys has had a spin about 500 meters farther back on the circuit as well.
Wow, that is 2 spins in the space of a few seconds there at similar parts of the track. That is, well, not boding well for some of the other drivers. It looks like it's going to be tricky out here today.
Indeed. This also means that with the spin that PURFC has had, that says that Herbinator 13 will try and be the first driver to set a clean lap. And there is one other thing. You were talking about the tires and how long this track is. Soft tires don't exactly last forever here, just because of the length of the track and the fact that you have to do an entire outlap before you can even start a proper flying one. It's very, very easy for us to see drivers to get their tires too hot, to the optimum temperature, too quickly, and then at the very end of their proper flying lap, the tires start falling off a cliff. We've seen time and time again drivers who are up by significant amounts of time in Sector 1 and Sector 2 lose a chunk of it in Sector 3, stressing and pushing their tires way too hard. Herbinator navigates the Al Rouge Rodillion complex without issue. It does look like he missed the slight turn at the end coming onto the back straightaway just a bit. He was offline. There is a purple Sector 1, 30.881. And now he goes through the chicanes. He has passed the highest point on the racetrack and he invalidates. So he will not be able to get it going either. So now it falls to Twitch Boys to try and set the time that everyone else is going to be going and shooting off of. Well, this is going to get interesting. Twitch Boys, I'm looking, it says that he is very low on fuel already, and he's just barely halfway through his lap, so he's going for broke here.
Yeah, low fuel already, that is not ideal, and as we said...
Herbinator is pulled over again. Sorry, I thought he had an accident, but he just pulled over. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. Go ahead, as you were saying.
No worries, yeah, with the fuel, you have to put a lot in really going out for the hot laps because of the such long track, and yeah, interesting to see already a red light on fuel. I don't know how he's going to exactly cope because he's definitely going to be running low on fuel by the time he's on his in-lap.
I will say this, 19 drivers, potentially a 20th one will show up. The 15 fastest will advance to Q2. I guess if you want to go for broke, Q1 and Q3 are the best times to do it, because there almost always seems to be drivers in Q1 who just can't seem to put up lap times competitive at all. We see it happen all the time. So if you put on a really good lap time, he just put a 144.481, you might be able to lock yourself into Q2 without issue, and then Q3, obviously, even if you completely crash out the car, you're still guaranteed a top 10 starting spot. Expose Venom crosses the line, the AlphaTauri. He sets a 144.799. Fugitive Shu 381 is in the middle of the lap right now. Has just exited Sector 2 with a 116. He's now on the run down to the start-finish line. And this corner he's about to come up to, very interesting, because in Formula 1, it's pretty much flat out. In fact, he's actually going to take it nice and flat out. But every other race car that I know of that runs at Spa, you either have to let off or break through there. It's one of the things that really set Formula 1 at Spa-Francorchamps apart. Oh, that Ferrari got really sideways, putting the power down coming out of the chicane, but he will cross the line with a 146.815. As I was saying, that corner there in Sector 3, full throttle in a Formula 1 car, but for everything else, you brake a bit for it. It really goes to highlight the difference in aerodynamic capabilities between a modern-day Formula 1 car and basically every other race car in the world right now.
Really interesting that Punitive Shoe has got on medium tires to start off. That could be because of the length of the track, and he thinks it's easier maybe to get more laps in on the mediums, but an interesting choice. Veloce in the pits has gone, and ooh, Dad Stop Gaming has spun round, and that's some big wing damage for the Mercedes.
Completely backwards on the circuit, and it looks like from the angle that he was stopped at, I'm guessing when he got on the brakes and then tried pedaling the throttle to navigate the corner, he got a little bit too aggressive with that Mercedes and spun it right around. And that is something, the entire front wing is completely gone off that car. We've seen throughout through XRRL that the Mercedes has a very, very chaotic handling, to say the least. I'm wondering if we're seeing drivers dealing with that same thing, even though Dev is, everyone has the exact same performance level. The cars, from what I understand, still will have a little bit of unique handling characteristics, or I also wonder if maybe it was just too excited, going too fast, push the limits of the car and driver meeting to the brink. Alright, well, one other driver is out on circuit and is about to set a lap time. Is PRUFC 1012. He was one of the first drivers to get on circuit earlier, only to have a spin and damage his front wing. Here he comes across the line. He'll finally set a lap time with a 1:45.643. There is also the Haas of the Lone Retreat. He is in the middle of a lap right now and invalidates immediately in the Al Rouge Rodillion complex. Well, Veloce, Mr. Neon, and Rydell are all on outlaps right now, as is Level 6 Beastian, V8 Irons, and Kinsey Retro. Beastian will be the first of those to cross the line and begin a flying lap. There it goes. But for me personally, I'm a little bit interested to see what fellow commentator Kinsey Retro is going to end up doing on his lap. Kinsey was a part of many different leagues over the last few seasons. However, due to real life and just general frustrations and struggles adapting to the last game and this game, he has elected to go to just Dev only this season. And we do look forward to eventually seeing Kinsey Retro trying to make cracks at it in other race series. Another driver to keep an eye on is Xro Veloce. He is out there on the medium tires, so Punitive Shoe has not been able to make it work out yet. 1 second, there been an incident, I believe there is, with V8 Irons. He's either, I don't know if he spun or if he pulled over or let other drivers by, but Kinsey has had an accident. No damage to the car, but he has looped it there in Sector 2. That means it's going to be a long time until he can get back to the start-finish line, and I have to wonder if he's even going to keep it going, or... Well, it looks like he's good for now. And I don't see any damage on that car. If there is no damage, he'll probably stay on the track and go for a flyer. We're going to go ahead and be silent and ride on board for a full lap with Kinsey Retro here at Spa-Francorchamps in the Mercedes-powered McLaren. Alright, and that's a full lap on board with Kinsey Retro. He sets a 1:44.749. As it stands right now, everyone except Veloce has elected to turn their laps on softs. Even Punitive Shoe, who had done his on mediums earlier, he is equipping softs and is about to go out again. But at the top, it is the Haas of the Lone Retreat who has taken the top spot on the timesheets right now. And now his fuel is low. He is just circling around the track on a cooldown lap. We have 10 of our 20 drivers who have set a lap time thus far. The other Mercedes-powered McLaren of Xro flavor is in the middle of a lap right now, behind the Alpine of Mr. Neon. He gets caught up in the aerodynamic wash of that car and ends up sliding all over the circuit in a not good way, and that's really going to harm his attempt at making a lap there. Here comes CVTX Mask to finish his lap. He will be the 11th driver to set a lap time in the session, and it's the second best time we've seen thus far, 1:43.770. And now my focus goes ahead and shifts to Xoro Lopez. He comes out of Sector 2 with a 1:16.356. He is going hard to try and get a fast lap on the medium tires here. But it's going to be interesting because there are drivers pulling over all around the road ahead of him. He basically needs to duck and dodge and weave to not run into the rear end of someone else. Coming up to the final chicane, hard on the braking, around through the right hand, now through that very tight left hand, lays on the throttle, lays on the ERS, the DRS opens at the line. It's a 1:45.370. That's the 9th fastest time of the 12 times we've seen thus far. Mr. Neon is coming around. He is about to start his lap as we... I'm wrong. He's about to finish his lap, so his lap will be a 1:44.646. And then Flavor crosses the line with a 1:48.614. And for drivers like Xro Flavor and Level 6 Beastian, times in the 1:48, 5 seconds slower than our fastest thus far. I have to say that I think their biggest problem is that a lot of drivers wait until the last minute to get out there, and now the track, there's just not a lot of room here to get a clean lap going. Zola. Oh, VA Irons is... I must apologize for that there. A little bit of technical issues, which was me accidentally pulling the cord out of my remote. VA Irons has elected to retire from the session. He feels that his time of 1:43.967 is good enough that he won't have to worry about getting dropped out. And frankly, I have to agree with him. We are in the last 4 minutes of the session, and only 14 drivers have set lap times thus far. EVD WQ111 has yet to come out into the circuit, although he did join the track relatively late. Watching Zola on his run down to the line here. So Zola sets a time of 1:44.942. Dad Stop Gaming is on another outlap after he ripped off his front wing earlier. Trey9530 will try to be the 16th driver to set a lap time in the session. Oh, and Lopez is out! Lopez has had an accident there going uphill, and that's going to take him out of the session, as his accident there in the Al Rouge Utility Complex means that he will not advance his car a little bit far off the racetrack, so he shouldn't be an issue for other drivers, but we're going to go ahead and try to get word with Lopez to see what happened to take him out there. This is Dad Stop Gaming about to begin his flying lap. Drivers keep going faster, and for drivers like Veloce and Flavor, they're definitely going to be feeling the stress and pressure of seeing their times slip down the line. Alright, and coming into the party right now is Xoro Lopez. Lopez, go ahead, include your audio. I do have to ask, because you were not able to start qualifying here. Why were you not able to do qualifying? Is it a qualifying ban, or was it something else that happened?
Yeah, I had a qualifying ban since I didn't show up last race. Yeah, Hungary. I didn't show up last race because there was an issue with I had an issue, so I couldn't race, and I notified the admins late. So rules apply to everyone, so I have to start on the back.
Alright, understood. So the real quick question I have to ask then is, can you make your way up through the grid from last position?
I'm not sure. Spa is a very different, a very hard track for me. Season 1, I did really good, but Season 1 was 3 years ago. So I'm a very different driver I was from Season 1, so I'm not sure. I'm really concerned. I'm going to push for P10. That will be my goal. Everything else is just vanity.
Alright, well, good luck in the race, mate.
Thank you very much. I'll do my best.
Alright, here comes Dad Stop Gaming across the line. As it stands right now, Zola is really being a spanner in the works. His accident puts him 15th right now, and there are numerous drivers who are just trying to beat Zola's time, or times of drivers even faster than that, just to try and make it in. Flavor and BCN right now are on the outside looking in. We're going to try and get Zola in here now, and hear from his perspective what took him out of this session. BCN is still in the pit. Xro Flavor is on circuit right now in the middle of another lap. And the clock has eloped for Q1. For Books and EVD WeQ, they need to set times now. But for Books, that's not going to happen. He has invalidated his lap, so he will be one of the drivers that will not advance. EVD WeQ is going to be one of the next drivers to cross the line here. Urbanator has aborted his lap because he believes that he is safely in. In the end, everyone ended up going with the soft tires except for Veloce. Veloce did try to set a lap on softs, but wasn't able to get it in, so his fastest time is on the mediums as we speak. WeQ across the line, third fastest time with a 1:43.908. So this means that BCN, Flavor, and Dad Stop are on the outside looking in. BCN has no way of advancing. For Dad Stop and Flavor, they need to find a way to make it faster than 1:45.370 in order to get to Q2.
Dad Stop has gone into the pit lane, so he won't be advancing at all anymore.
So it's all down to what can XRL Flavor do. He needs to improve by 3.3 seconds to knock Veloce out. And nothing against Flavor, but his pace and strength has never been in qualifying. I don't see it happening for him. Across the line, he will improve, but only by 1 second when he needed to triple that improvement. So he will not advance. The drivers that will not advance to the next round of qualifying is Books, Lopez, BCN, Flavor, Dad Stop Gaming, and Xro Zola, who could have advanced but had a crash that took him out of the session. Alright, so now we just wait for the clock to run out and the drivers who are still on circuit to go ahead and get their machines in the pits. So here's the lineup of the drivers that will advance. The Load and Retreat with the fastest time in the Haas, then CVTX Mask, EVD, WeQ, V8 Irons, Rydell 06, Punitive Shoe 381, Twitch Boris, Mr. Neon 713, Kinsey Retro, Trey 9530, Expose Venom, PRUFC 1012, Urbanator 13, and Xro Veloce. The drivers that did not advance, as we said, Zola, Dad Stop Gaming, Flavor, BCN, Lopez, and Books. And for Veloce, he went out there on the mediums, and that time he set was just barely good enough to keep him in for Q2. Alright, and now we are on the precipice of beginning Q2, and this is where things get interesting. Of these 14 drivers, the 10 fastest will advance into Q3, but the tires that they set their fastest time on will be the tires they have to start the race itself with, assuming the race doesn't start under wet conditions. That means that tire strategy becomes everything. We see time and time again drivers sacrificing their race pace and race strategy to try and get a better to try and get a better starting position. now it seems like Twitch Boys, Herbinator, PRUFC, and Expose Venom are the only drivers at the moment to have mediums equipped on their machines. And Twitch Boys is going to be the first driver to get out onto the circuit by the looks of it now. Our game word that actually we're not looking for any rain in this race. Apparently, the forecast is cleared up. It should be dry from start to end in the event. So right now, Twitch Boys is leading a small group of cars that includes Herbinator and PRUFC. They all just kind of on top of each other on the circuit. It's really hampering it out. Well, Herbinator is slowing way down, and that's blocking PRUFC. Finally, that Williams gets by, but now there's an AlphaTauri of Expose Venom closing in as well. So Herbinator is pulled way over to let other drivers get by him. So right now, that means that it's going to be PRUFC on the mediums who will try and be the first to start a proper flying lap. Still about half the field is on pit road right now, and has not yet made their attempt to get onto the circuit. Here we go, laps beginning now. It's not very hard on the, in fact, he waited a long time to start gaining on the ERS, didn't even start to use it on the main straight. And he invalidates very early on, so now the focus goes to Twitch Boys to try and get this first lap in this books. Still, the majority of drivers seem to think that softs are the way to go. Clean track ahead now for the Haas of Twitch Boys. His teammate Lone Retreat had set the fastest lap time in Q1. Twitch is going to try and be the driver with the fastest lap time of the medium tires in Q2. Ooh, gets the right front in the grass just a little bit. Not enough to really compromise his time, I imagine. But he needs to be a little bit more careful with track limits. That's the way you end up getting times disavowed. Out of the final chicane to the line for Twitch Boys, it will be a lap time of 1:45.695. That's the time that everyone else is going to be going after. Herbinator does a 1:46.351, also on the medium tire compounds. And now we turn our focus to Expose Venom, one of the other drivers on the mediums. He will cross the line with a lap time of 1:45.457, so now he takes the fastest lap time of the session. Lone Retreat is coming up though. Fastest in Q1, what will he do in Q2 with the soft tire compounds? As the fourth driver across the line with the lap time, it's an easy top, 144.453, and also, I was wrong, he had the mediums on, not the softs. Okay, I had the tire equipment set up wrong. Okay, so right now, almost everyone is actually on the mediums, not the softs. One driver who is on the softs, though, is Kinsey Retro in the McLaren. He is electing to forego tire strategy, or at least not wanting to choose the tire strategy that everyone else is going with. He is going to try and go for pure speed right now as he exits the Al Rouge Resilient Complex and onto the nice long back straightaway.
I think starting on the softs could be good if there is a safety car a couple laps in, because the softs probably won't last too much longer than really a couple laps. But if there is a lucky safety car, then those on the softs could benefit. But I think the mediums are a better option.
Well, of those drivers that agree with you that the softs could be a better option, one of them seems to be Punitive Shoe, and he has gone to the top with a 144.285 in his Ferrari. Trying to see who the next driver is going to be that will cross the line. It will be V8 Irons, who's just begun a lap. I think, though, it's going to be PRUFC. He's going to come across the line now. Herbinator has improved on his time, but not by very much. PRUFC crosses the line 146.022. So still a very significant gap in times from the fastest to slowest right now. Oh, and Kinsey has had an incident. Kinsey has had an incident. He has invalidated his lap, and now he's pulling over to let other drivers by. And it happened about halfway through the lap, so I have to wonder if they're actually going to have enough fuel in that McLaren to let him go for another shot at this. Here comes Mr. Neon, another driver with the mediums equipped. He invalidated his first lap, but his second lap will count with a 145.796. That's the sixth fastest thus far. Xoro Lopez is also in the middle of a run right now. Rydell has just begun his lap. CVTX Mask is about to begin his lap. V8 Iron still in the middle of a lap. Kinsey trying to go again. His last lap was invalid, and he pulled way back a good 15 seconds off pace in the final sector alone, just trying to save fuel and save the tires. He's going again at it, though. Trey, 9530, also in the middle of a lap right now, is right on board as he crests through the Al Rouge Rodillion complex and blasts that Red Bull onto the back straightaway. Veloce to the top with a 143.943. Here comes V8 Irons with the medium tire compounds. His competition is EVD WeQ. He is not able to match. He only sets a 145.0. As it stands right now, the spread from the fastest to the slowest is about 2.2 seconds. And it doesn't look like it's going to slow anytime soon. Here comes Rydell through Sector 2 right now. His teammate, PRUFC, has set a 146.022. Expose Venom is equipping softs in the pit lane. He does not feel confident with the time he currently has. A little bit behind Rydell is Kinsey. His lap is clean for now. He only has 3 more corners to navigate, one of them being a full throttle one. He is hard on the ERS. Now on the run down to the final chicane. Rydell, just a little bit farther up the road, is coming across the line. He will set a lap time of 145.172. For Kinsey on the soft tire compounds, he will jump only to a 146.818. That's not a competitive time at all on the sauce. I have to wonder if maybe the spin or whatever he had earlier that invalidated his prior lap may have already taken a large amount of life off of them. CVTX Max crosses the line with a 144.332. All 14 drivers have set lap times. As it is right now, Mr. Neon is on the bubble with Trey 9530, PRUFC, Herbinator, and Kinsey Retro all on the outside looking in. Trey pulls over to let the Mercedes a CVTX Mask by. It looks like Trey is on a cooldown lap right now. But considering how long this circuit is, I don't know if he's going to have enough time to try and make it go faster. Here goes Kinsey. He is on another lap. He needs to improve by a significant amount. The tires, in theory, should have what it takes. But we've not been following him exclusively. He may have burned some of the rubber off of them. At the bottom of Sector 2 now. He's up, but only by 0.2 at the end of Sector 2. He needs to improve by closer to an entire second, or 1.2 seconds, if he wants a serious chance. The fuel light is flashing on the McLaren now. So does he commit to this lap, or does he give up, come into the pits, and try upon another set of tires? The word is plain from the Mercedes McLaren camp. Bring the car in. We'll get you just enough time to go for one more lap. Herbinator is out on track again. He was one of the drivers who started on the mediums. He has now thrown on the softs, throwing strategy away because he wants that top 10 starting position. Trey still in the middle of a cooldown lap. We should be seeing him. No, he cooled down, but I think what he did was he was recharging his ERS back up. He's going to go again. That lap was only a 2:09, so it's not even trying to be competitive. This is where we're going to see him really lay on it in that Red Bull. A little bit of rear tire spin coming out of the hairpin. Now on the run down to some of the most intense and dangerous corners in all of racing. He invalidates, and he very nearly loses at the top of the hill, and for Trey, that's no good. He needs to immediately start backing down. I think he's only going to get one more serious shot at this, and he needs to navigate the circuit nice and calmly enough so he doesn't burn the fuel up. Herbinator, middle of a lap right now. Now the run downhill throughout Sector 2. Farther up the road is Trey. And CVTX Mask has pulled off circuit even farther up, so he shouldn't be compromising Trey or Herbinator's laps. Veloce to the top now with a 143.943. And Expose Venom second fastest is 143.967. Herbinator is up by a full second. That would be enough to get him in. Trey still trying to make it happen. He's invalidated a lap again. And the fuel light is flashing. I don't see this happening for Trey. I don't think there's enough time left. For Herbinator, though, on the soft tire compound, he is going to come out of the final chicane, pop open the DRS, lay hard on the ERS at the line. Herbinator will set a lap time of 144.832. That pushes Mr. Neon out, and now it's Twitch Boys who is on the bubble. Both of those drivers have already responded. They're on outlaps as we speak, with 2 minutes left in Q2. V8 Irons in the middle of a cooldown lap right now. Only 3 drivers, as we speak, are fast enough to be in Q3 with the medium tires. Trey has thrown on the softs. He thinks that despite there only being a minute and a half left on the clock, he believes he can get out on circuit and make it around fast enough to go again. V8 Irons and EVD have both retired from the session. They feel confident with their times. For Trey, I'm going to be honest, I don't see any way that he's going to be able to make it to the start-finish line in time to begin another flying lap. If you're not already in the middle of an out lap, I don't see it happening. One of the drivers who are already in the middle of an out lap is Kinsey Retro. He has the slowest time on the board thus far, but I really do think he burned those tires up way too aggressively as first shot. Now we'll get to see what that Mercedes McLaren really holds under the rear cowling. Very smooth through the Al Rouge Rodillion complex. So smooth, in fact, I have to wonder if maybe they've packed on a bunch of downforce just to make sure that the tires don't fall off. Less than half a minute left in the session. Everyone who is on track is in the middle of a lap or is retiring back into the pits. At the bottom of Sector 2 now. Navigating these 2 90-degree corners. Then there'll be 2 more, although these will be both right-handers. And you fly out of the final one, and you just basically stay on the throttle for a good 10 seconds. Yes, 3 more corners left for Kinsey Retro, and he will lead this pack of cars, the strung out pack of cars, for their final times across the line. Kinsey needs to be at a 145.694 or better. Frankly, he's gonna spin out of the final corner. The dream is dead for Kinsey Retro. It's over. He will not advance. PRUFC is over for him as well. He cannot advance. Mr. Neon is up by 5/10 on the medium tires. He might be able to cheat his way back into the top 10 with mediums. Yes, he does, but Twitch Boys might have something to say about it. He is up by 1.1 seconds at the end of Sector 2, at the end of the line. What does Twitch Boys do? He jumps to third. Neon is out. Rydell is safe, and good thing too, because his lap was invalid, and Herbinator on his cooldown lap can rest easy knowing that he is in.
Well, that was a very exciting end there. Good there from Twitch. He did have to switch to the soft to make that, but I think it was a good decision, and he's probably very happy to be getting through to Q3 now.
And not only did Twitch make it through Q3, he did it with a very decisive lap time, 144.061. That's the third fastest we saw in this session. So I think that he may have a serious shot at going for a front 3 rows starting spot in the race itself. We're going to go ahead and try to get Kinsey Retro in here and hear what he had to say about that last minute spin at the end of Q2. There's your lineup. 4 drivers will make it in with the mediums. Rydell, V8 Irons, Lone Retreat, and EVD WeQ. Everyone else starting on the softs. That is Herbinator, CBTX Mask, Punitive Shoes, Twitch Boys, Expose Venom, and Veloce. Coming into the party right now is Kinsey Retro. Kinsey, go ahead, include your audio. You had speed. We could see it plainly that you had a lot of speed in that McLaren, but between 4 different laps, none of them seemed to come together. What was the problem out there?
It was a whole combination of things. I mean, the mediums did not feel as fast as I wanted them to be when I went out for that medium run at the start of Q2, and then on that soft run at the end there, purple sector 1, and I thought this is a great opportunity for me. I was still green in sector 2, and then heading into that final chicane, 2 seconds up, got a bit too much of the curb, put a bit too much power down, and that's what cost me a place in the top 10.
All right, well, we know that McLaren has a lot of speed, but neither of the McLaren starting any better than 14th. So now my question is, can you and your teammate make it up into the top 10 in today's race?
Well, given the nature of the circuit, I'm just going to be banking on people either crashing out at Radion or just capitalizing on other mistakes elsewhere on the track.
All right. It's a very safe and conservative strategy, but it's one that has brought your teammate, TIR Flavor, now known as Xoro Flavor, to many good results. We hope we can see the same from you today.
Yeah, I've been known to bring in the good results despite a poor qualifying. I mean, Spain was a perfect example of that. I was at the back of the grid and I finished P7.
At a circuit that you hardly ever see overtaking on, that's a very respectable run. And we were watching when you did that, so we know you can do it. I'll be looking forward to you doing it here at one of the greatest circuits known to man.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it right there. I've shown I'm capable of pulling it off, and I'm confident on a circuit like this I can do it again tonight.
All right, well, good luck. Hopefully we won't have to talk to you again until after the race is over, after a potential very good run.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
All right, good luck, Kinsey. We'll let you get focused on strategizing for the race itself as we now begin turning our focus here to Q3 and the shootout for the pole position. The top 10 fastest drivers here going at it. Expose Venom is going to pull over and let Veloce go ahead and sneak by. Veloce had one of the fastest times at the end of Q2, so we know that he has potential in that car. I think it's going to be between Veloce, the Lone Retreat, and EVD for the pole position as it stands right now. The entire circuit, with the exception of EVD and Rydell06, are out on track right now. And it's really interesting because a bunch of them are all right on top of each other. You get from Expose Venom, and then you see he's stacking up a Haas behind him. And then behind that, well, now Lone Retreat's finally by, but then behind that you have the Mercedes CVTX Mask and the Haas of Twitch Boys, who's closing in on him quickly. It's a very, very chaotic scenario here. Trying to get good timing so you have clean racetrack here is very important. And I know that you might also be able to benefit well from being in the aerodynamic wake of the car ahead of you, but if that's going to happen, you almost want to catch them in Sector 3, because if you catch them in Sector 2, it's very, very hard to capitalize on the aerodynamic wake and then also not have to deal with the compromisation of your lap from overtaking that driver. Veloce shooting onto the back straightaway now. He is leaning hard on the ERS. The DRS is wide open, and the throttle is pushed to the floor. 202 miles at the end of the straightaway, but he seemed to hit terminal velocity in the Aston Martin very quickly. I have to wonder if the way that the aerodynamics are set up on that car, it's more for handling rather than pure straight line speed. We've seen faster speeds before here. Right now, he is the driver we're focusing on because he is setting himself up to be the first driver to set a lap time in this session. The fuel light is flashing, so it's going to be a one-and-done deal for Veloce. Still clean track ahead. Neither Rydell or EVD have yet made moves to get onto the circuit. Into the final chicane now. The DRS pops open once more, and at the line, Veloce will set the time everyone will have to try and beat, 1:43.859. Now, here comes the Lone Retreat. He is going to be one of the other drivers I anticipate will be fighting for the pole. He goes even faster, 1:43.089. We've not seen anyone break the 1:43 barrier yet, though. That could change shortly. Here comes Twitch Boys, Lone Retreat's teammate. Twitch Boys sets a time of 1:44.374. CVTX Mask has aborted his lap. Punitive Shoe is in the middle of an invalid lap, so he's going to have to go for another shot at it. Herbinator has invalidated his lap. Expose Venom has come into the pits and is boarded. V8 Irons has invalidated his lap as well. So a bunch of invalidations mean that of 8 drivers who had taken to the track, only 3 of them were able to set a lap time in the first 5 minutes of Q3. This man here, V8 Irons, along with the 2 drivers farther up the road on him, primarily Punitive Shoe, but to a lesser extent Rydell, is going to be very interesting because they're going to have to deal with 2 Haas's and Aston Martin that have already set their lap times and will be pulling over and going slow. And that's Rydell who had actually pulled off circuit there. And V8 Irons, another invalid lap that's really going to compromise his ability to do anything. So now the focus goes to Punitive Shoe. He seems to be far enough away from the 2 Haas's and the Aston Martin that they shouldn't be compromising his lap. Into these flowing 90-degree corners at the bottom of Sector 2. You make a right, a left, straighten it out, and then 2 more 90-degree less. You come flying out of the second one with full speed. And this section of the racetrack, you need the rear wing shut, so there is no DRS available on this portion of the track. You need all the aerodynamic grip to make this corner right here at full bore. Look at them, the car leans hard through the corner. And now hard on the brakes on the dive into the final chicane. Coming to the line, Punitive Shoe will sell that time of 1:43.914. That's the 3rd fastest time we've seen thus far. Herbinator now coming to the line. He invalidates at the last corner of the final chicane. And not only does that invalidate that lap, it invalidates his following lap as well. Rydell and EVD Wiku are both out on circuit as Rydell is now crossing the start-finish line to begin a flying lap. Excuse me. Watching the Williams as he takes the run down to the Al Rouge Resilient Complex. Flies out of it, the car seems nice and straight. No need to worry about him yet. Well, for him, there's no need to worry about himself yet. Really, everyone else I think is going to worry about Rydell potentially sniping a top 5 starting position. The drivers I'm really looking at, though, is going to be Lone Retreat, and Rydell invalidates in Sector 2. That means we're going to continue to wait a long time before we see another driver in the process of doing another lap, and that will be Expose Venom. He is on the run right now to the start-finish line. The ERS is fully charged. He is cruising only at 160 miles an hour, not really pushing too hard because he wants to make sure he has as much fuel in the tank as possible for this run. Very wide out of the final corner, trying to maximize the speed on this short straightaway. He begins his flying lap now. Around the hairpin, and now you start shooting downhill. It's absolutely a tremendous experience going down that run, and then you enter Al Rouge and Redillion. You need to keep it clean through here. And he does. The AlphaTauri is nice and clean. The DRS pops open. He's hard on the ERS going down the back straightaway. Twitch Boys is on another lap right now. Farther up the circuit. CVTX Mask is aborting his attempt. He had an outlap and he is aboard. He has come back into the pits. V8 Irons is also trying to get another lap going after he invalidated his prior one. EVD Wiku is in the middle of his lap as well, a little bit farther back on the circuit. As we go ahead and turn our focus to him, he is one of the drivers I think could be a serious contender for the pole position. The only Red Bull to have made it into Q3. Using up every bit of the circuit on the run downhill. Now he's at the bottom of the racetrack here in Sector 2. Oh, and he spins! And he's around! And he's gonna nails it into the outside wall! I don't know if that damaged the car or not, but one thing that will damage will be his confidence in his ability. There is no damage to the Red Bull, though. He can start pulling back, recharge the ERS back up, and go for maybe one more lap, but he cannot let that happen again because there's only 2 minutes and 9 seconds left right now. The Lone Retreat is back on the circuit now. He's going to try and go faster. Expose Venom has actually kicked Veloce down. Venom set a 143.593 on his lap. Veloce on an outlap. Punitive Shoe is on an outlap. Twitch Boys is in the middle of a lap right now, but he has invalidated that lap in the Al Rouge Resilient Complex. Rydell trying to get a lap in. The fuel is low right now on the Williams. But he will be able to make it to the line. The thing is, with 1 minute and 31 seconds left, there's no way he'll be able to go again. He cannot afford to invalidate in the final chicane. The rear end of that Williams stepping out a bit under throttle application, but he sets a time good enough for third, 143.711. Now we look at V8 Irons. He is on the run downhill right now to the bottom of Sector 2, trying to make something happen. 7 drivers have set a lap time, and the battle for the pole now seems to be between Lone Retreat and Expose Venom. Both of them are on laps right now, but in Venom's case, I don't think he's going for another flyer. I think he's on a cooldown lap right now, especially with the way the fuel light is flashing. What can Veloce do? He is now beginning his flying lap as the Lone Retreat. He's currently entering Sector 2. He is down, but only by 58 thousandths. He could find a chunk of time in Sector 2 here. Herbinator and CVTX Mask are on the run to the start-finish line to begin their final attempt at a lap with half a minute left in the session. V8 Irons goes up to second now with a 143.541, but no one else has matched the Lone Retreat's time thus far. Everyone else is at least 45 hundredths out from him or more. And then you have CVTX Mask and Herbinator, who have not yet set a lap time. And for EVD Weekyu, he is low on fuel, but this will be his only shot because the clock is ticking. Expose Venom is coming through the final chicane. The time's up. Over. Plow! Out of the final corner of the final chicane, Weekyu finally puts down a competitive lap, and it's not a significant enough improvement. I thought he was blocking for a top 3 starting position. He's not even going to start any better than 8th, sadly. So now the focus goes to the Lone Retreat as he crosses the start-finish line in a mere handful of seconds. Will he go even faster on this final lap of his and break the 143 barrier? He does with a 142.636. Now, what about Veloce? He's been the only driver who has a serious shot of beating him on time, I believe, going through the final chicane right now. Very hesitant putting the throttle down. That's going to really hamper his lap time, but he jumps up to second with a 143.435. V8 Irons has invalidated his lap. Rydell is on the run to pit lane. He does not have enough fuel to go faster. Punitive Shoe right now is coming out of Sector 2. It's going to be a full throttle run down to the start-finish line for him here. Twitch Boys, the fuel light is flashing, but he is going for it here. Then Herbinator crosses the line, but only with a 145.804. Here comes CVTX Mask. He will finally get a lap time in of 143.567. That's good enough for 4th. For Punitive Shoe, he comes down to the line, will be the final driver to set a lap time in the session. Will it be faster than his prior one? Yes, it will! The Ferrari takes second from Veloce, so there will be a Ferrari starting on the front row here to continue representing the team in their great run throughout Dev thus far this season. And with that in mind, this qualifying session is over, and the fastest car at the end of it is the Haas, which is fielding the driver of Lone Retreat in the Haas machine. He will start on the pole position and have the perfect run down to the hairpin for the start of your XRL Dev race here at Spa-Francorchamps.
That was a very exciting end to qualifying. Lone Retreat really just bossing that whole thing. Well done to him, but that Ferrari getting up to P2 was, I hate to say it, quite unexpected actually, but that was a very good end to qualifying, and that really does bode well for the race ahead.
And here's one other thing that's going to be very interesting. The time gap from the fastest driver to the slowest driver at the end of this session was 3.1 seconds. Granted, that's only off of 1 lap pace and not over race pace or a pace over a life of a tire, but that could really indicate that we may see a race with a lot of spreading out in here at Spa. So I'll be interested to see if the field actually ends up spreading out real early like I think it might. Excuse me. Alright, well now we have roughly a 5-minute break until we get into the race itself. So while we do that, I do want to go ahead and talk about the point scenario in Dev as it stands right now. We're now deep enough into the session that we don't really have to worry too much about drivers making sudden out of nowhere late race charges. If something like that's going to happen, they will have already started it. So when we look at the standings as they are right now in the Manufacturers Championship, at the bottom is AlphaTauri with 22 points. 9th is the Haas team with 47 points. 8th is McLaren with 52. 7th is Williams with 71. 6th is Alpine with 80. 5th is Red Bull with 83. 4th is Aston Martin with 98. 3rd is Mercedes with 108. Alfa Romeo only 1 point ahead of them with 109. And at the top is Scuderia Ferrari with 144 points. In the Drivers' Championship for Dev, things are a little bit different, but in some ways still the same. At the bottom, Woozy Emu 3 and Pierre UFC have yet to earn points. Xoro Lopez and Twitch Boys are tied at 17th with 1 point each. Aqua V Ninjas has 4 points, Level 6 Beastian has 6, Herbinator 13 has 7, Aaron Mara 04 has 8, and he is tied with Expose Venom. 11th is DWB Ninja Fans with 10 points, 1 point more goes to Dad Stop Gaming, he has 11 points, 10th on the lineup. 12 points for Herbago, who is 9th. 18 for V8 Irons. Kinsey Retro has 21 points right now. Mantic Meatrat 77 has 26. Ali 89CZ has 29. Xro Veloce is 4th with 30 points. CBTX Mask is 3rd with 43 points. Xro Zola is 2nd with 69 points. Nice. And Fable 521 is leading the championship in his Ferrari with 107 points as it stands right now. So real quickly, as we pull up the current race lineup, we already know what tires the top 10 are all going to start on. Lone Retreat, V8 Iron, CVTX Mask, Rydell, and EVD WeQ will all be starting on the mediums. The other top 5 stars will be starting on the softs. But as you go down the grid, everyone else seems to be favoring the soft tires with the exception of XRL Flavor and XXX Books XXX. They will be starting on mediums. So it seems very plain to me at least that everyone wants to get a really good fast set of laps in early on the soft tire compounds. LPR, or is it IPR? I keep forgetting.
IPR.
Okay. IPR, I do have a favor to ask of you. When this race starts, will you keep an eye on the back of the grid, and if something of significance happens, just go ahead, interrupt me, talk right over me to bring the focus to that.
I can certainly do that, no worries.
Alright. Full 20-car field here for today's XRL Dev race here. Should be getting underway in a shortish period of time here. Should be going here in about 45 seconds or so. Should be going here in about 12 seconds. And then we'll be on the track. There is no pace lap for XRL events. You just go right off the line with the coldest tires you can summon. Alright. So now we come onto the circuit as we see the lights beginning to turn on. 4 lights, 5 lights. As lights out, away we go here at Spa-Francorchamps, and right off the bat, Lone Retreat is going to hold the lead going into the hairpin. Punitive Shoe is trying to hold it up on the outside, but he runs extremely wide. That lets Veloce slip by and get up the road just a little bit as the Ferrari has slipped back to trying to hold off 4th from Expose Venom, who's trying to charge up the road, and Punitive Shoe is around hard into the inside wall. The entire suspension is completely compromised, and that's EVD Wiku who has spun as well back there. cars involved, and that is also, I believe, level 6 Beastian. Or is that Zola? There's another car. That's Zola. Zola has spun there, coming out of Al Rouge Redillion as well. So that is your virtual safety car. And you saw it right here, folks. Punitive Shoe dropping down the order right off the start. Could not keep the car under him. He spins and leads to an accident right at the start, and that has knock-on effects since these 3 other cars involved. Oh, and Twitch Boys has just crashed out now under the virtual safety car. And already drivers are getting drive-through penalties as well. Flavor falls to 17th behind Riku, and Veloce has now dropped from 2nd down to 4th as Expose Venom has jumped up into 2nd, but he's sideways. He's lagging all over the circuit. The 8 irons and Veloce made contact. Veloce falling badly through the grid now as he's trying to, and now he's hit by PRUFC. There's something wrong with Veloce's car as he is extremely outpaced and holding up the entire grid right now. There's smoke farther up the grid. I think someone may have either a tire rub or engine failure or something because it has gone mad.
Lopez has spun around at the back of the grid. Doesn't look like any damage, but he is now in 18th place at the back.
Well, everyone behind the leader is gone absolutely mad. Herbinator's just trashed out. Herbinator is out of the race, and Veloce is involved as well. Kinsey is involved. There's a stack up or drivers trying to get into pit lane as Herbinator crash entering the pits, and a bunch of other drivers have been. And now Kinsey just got disqualified for blocking pit lane, but there's nothing that he could do because pit lane is blocked by Herbinator's machine.
Oh, that's so unlucky for Kenzie. He won't be happy with that. Lopez got disqualified as well for something, but that has been such a chaotic start.
We have gone from having 20 cars to only 15 cars in a single lap due to partially an accident, but now bullshit game disqualifications.
I have never seen a start like that. It was just all set off from that one crash at the beginning, and then, like you said, with the game disqualifications, it's just gone absolutely crazy, and God, that has not been a great start for a lot of people, and that is so unlucky for all of those out as well. I know Kenzie and Lopez especially, seeing as they got disqualified, and not much they could do there. Oh, I feel really bad for them. That is so unfortunate.
This is honestly one of the most bizarre starts I've ever seen to an Xoro race. And yeah, there was that first lap accident, but we saw two more drivers get totally disqualified due to circumstances beyond their control. The one person that's really benefits, though, is the Lone Retreat, because now he is leading, and for the Haas team, this will be great for him. All right, coming into the booth right now is Punitive Shoe. Shoe, go ahead and include your audio. Big accident there at the start of the race. What happened through Al Rouge and Redillion for you? Well, it was a significant impact to well, I guess we'll call it inside wall. But I do have to ask, now all the Ferrari hopes are resting on Books, because as you know, Ferrari is leading the Manufacturers' Championship. Do you think that Books can get back up there and recover the places that you lost at the start? Hopefully we'll be able to do that, or at least something comparative to that. It's an absolute travesty to see you out so early, especially after putting down that blistering lap in final quali. Thanks for going ahead and jumping in the booth and sharing your experiences with us. We've not had any luck getting words from Herbinator, Twitch Boys, Kinsey, or Lopez. Although in Kinsey and Lopez's position, I don't blame them. I can imagine the rage from being unfairly disqualified from circumstances beyond your control would be more than enough of a reason for them not to want to speak with us. Alright, once again, thanks Punitive Shoe. And now IPR, I do want to go ahead and turn the focus to something else. I just noticed all 5 of the drivers that were disqualified or crashed out in that first lap, all of them were equipped with soft tire compounds. So this really upsets the flow of the race, because now it's no longer a case where almost half the grid can benefit from one strategy, almost half the grid can benefit from the other. Now, Mr. Neon, PRUFC, Dadstop, and Expose, they are the only ones on the soft tire compound choice on their own. If things change and it goes really well for drivers who elected to start on softs rather than start on the mediums, those 4 could end up pulling out of here with some incredible results.
Yeah, I think that is interesting actually that all those out have gone soft, but it is going to be good if it works out for those soft drivers, because as you said, there's not many, there's only 4, and I think especially Mr. Neon probably in the best spot. If he can get a good safety car restart here as well, I reckon he is going to be in a very good position. If he can get past Irons and maybe even Lone Retreat, he could go on to at least lead this race for a long time, maybe even win. So I think we have to see how it plans out. If the safety car restart is fairly clean, which hopefully it is, then I reckon we're going to see Mr. Neon and the others on softs really start to fly up the grid. But I think we just have to wait and see. You can't tell what it's going to be like, especially with the start we've had.
V8 Irons has a 5-second penalty currently against him, and while he is second on the grid, that's really going to come back and bite him unless he can appeal it successfully later. I didn't see when or how it happened, but he's earned it somehow. Veloce, despite only having 1 lap of green flag racing, he has already earned a 3-second time penalty for track violations, and for Trey9530, a drive-through penalty for speeding under that very brief virtual safety car we had for like the first, more like the middle third of that first lap. So very interesting how drivers immediately seem to start racking up penalties here at Spa. So this could be something interesting. Checking the Discord chat real quickly, although the situation has resolved itself for now, apparently the Lone Retreat got kicked out of the race for a bit and the AI had taken over. He has gotten back under control of his car though, so it will be the actual driver at hand. There's the word safety car in this lap, but that could be something to watch, because if he got kicked out once, he could get kicked out a lot more as this race goes on. Alright, coming to the green flag. So the question is, what can Mr. Neon do against the drivers ahead of him, V8 Irons and Lone Retreat? We have plummeted from a 20-car grid to a 15-car grid in a single lap. As we come to the green flag, Lone Retreat bunches up the entire field. Mr. Neon gets a jump on V8 Irons, but pulls out of it on the run into the hairpin.
Very slow start for Xoro and cut lining down the back of the grid.
Has also lost time as well. He has fallen from 9th to 10th in a single corner, running behind 2 other cars. Able to get a good draft though, going down the back straightaway right behind EVD Wiku. EVD spun out on the first lap, going through Al Rouge Daily. Now he's already recovered up to 9th though, trying to get away by the Mercedes of Dadstop Gaming. Real battle right now is going to be for 4th, 5th, and 3rd, because, well, actually from 2nd to 5th, really, they're all right on top of each other. Mr. Neon right there behind V8 Irons, and and CVTX Max made a lunge on PRUFC in the no-name corner, had to back out of it, and that's brought Ride and Expose Venom up to the fight now. Expose to the inside of Rydell, under braking. They make contact, he's around! Expose Venom goes around! And that will plummet him down the order significantly out of the points. That's up Gaming around, and he's got hit by Flavor! Flavor involved in the accident as well. So another two-car accident between Expose Venom and, Desktop Gaming and Flavor, and that will drop to 13th and 14th now. And now there are only two drivers in the top 10 with the soft tire compounds. It is Mr. Neon and PRUFC. Oh, and Venom's out! Oh, and it's right in the middle of the racetrack as well. This could get really, really treacherous. Trey is out as well. Trey has had an accident farther back on the circuit. We only have a view of our eyes on it. We have not been able to go 2 full laps under green, and we have already gone from 20 cars to only 13 drivers left on the racetrack. This race is a mess. I'm gonna try and get Expose Venom and Trey in here to see what happened from their perspective. But for Lone Retreat, this means several more laps in the lead. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think for Mr. Neon and PRUFC, this would be the ideal time for them to come in, take off softs, and throw on mediums if they can make the mediums last the rest of this race. Again, at this point, we only have 16 more laps left to go. One driver who has elected to pit under this yellow and got a chance to do it while everyone else had not yet is Dad Stop Gaming. He threw on the hard tire compounds and will run those to the end of this race. This race has been an absolute mess, to say the least, though. I want to make that very clear. This race has been a mess.
Yeah, I think it's part of it, obviously, at the start, you could argue that was the driver's fault, but I think just the game really hasn't helped, the whole disqualifications and some bagging as well. But hopefully we can, after the safety car, move on and start to get a bit of a better race. A lot of people pitting at the moment as well now.
V8 Irons, Mr. Neon, PRUFC all electing to pit right now. So those drivers who started on the softs will take those off and now put on the mediums. Good thing too, because it seems like the soft tire compounds has been an absolute death sentence for just about everyone. Everyone with the soft tire compounds, except where Mr. Neon, PRUFC have been involved in an accident or two. PRUFC is elected to equip hard, so he thinks the medium. He doesn't seem to have confidence that the mediums will still be fast at the end of this race, apparently.
It was a wing replacement as well for the Irons, so he is a bit further back now.
Irons has also served his 5-second time penalty as well. In the field, gathering up now behind the safety car, the top 5 drivers, Lone Retreat, CVTX Max, Rydell, EVD, and Books, all have yet to make their first stop. Same with BCN and Flavor. Veloce and Zola have made a stop to repair damage to their cars, and they have changed tires as well. But this could end up being really interesting. And I agree with what you said earlier. We've seen the yellow flag laps early on. It's going to benefit drivers like Neon and PRUFC if they can stay out of danger for the rest of this race. Nearly the entire field has gathered up. Dad Stop Gaming is taking just a little bit longer than anticipated. But as it is, we should be able to go green here on lap 8, I think. Also of note, because we've only been able to run what's basically a combined total of 1 2/3 laps under the green flag conditions, No one is a lap down. Everyone who is on track still is still on the lead lap. There's the word. Safety car will be coming in this lap, so we will be going green on lap 8. We have gone from a 20-car field to a 13-car field in less than 2 laps of actual racing. This has been a very, very weird race, to say the least. I've seen races before with high attrition rates. I've never seen it happen this quickly, though, so... Alright, I'm right on board with CVTX Mask as we come to the green flag. And like I've said, IPR, go ahead, cut me off, interrupt me the moment you see something of interest.
I will do just that.
Long retreat backs up the field once again. But the field behind was really spread out, so the advantage isn't really there. One driver who definitely wants to take an advantage, though, is Wiku. He's going to try and go around the outside of Rydell. They make a little bit of contact, but the Red Bull's got his nose ahead. Now he's got his entire car ahead on the run down to the Al Rouge Rodillion complex.
Oh, we got Books gone round at the back. Seemed like something happened on his own there. He just spun around. Luckily, no damage for him, though.
This means that now, for the Lone Retreat and CVTX Mask, they are out front with minimal issue now. Trying to open a gap on Wiku, who's already gained the position on the race start. Well, this could be very bad. My controller batteries are apparently dying, and they are refusing to charge. So I am going to step away for a moment while I continue to be focused on EVD Wiku. Hopefully the broadcast keeps going. I'm going to try and get my controller batteries swapped out real quickly.
Oh, and there goes EVD. Almost perfect as you're on board with them, but EVD then into the wall. Seemed like he just spun around his own there, and that is going to be some big wing damage as well for the Red Bull. He's dropping down to 12th place now. I don't think maybe Books will catch him at place right at the back of the grid, and all will be going ahead. He's really wobbling here. But that is EVD probably for now out of contention for that 3rd place spot, because I believe that was some wing damage unless I saw it wrong. Maybe he's okay actually in terms of damage. He's being overtaken by Books now though. Lone Retreat, the new fastest lap. And just trying to get a clear picture here, and yeah, that is no wing damage actually for EVD, so that's okay. Veloce as well coming on Rydell, but I'm really unfortunate there for EVD. He is probably going to have to really work hard to push back up to the top now.
PRUFC has also come into the pits. He's going to take off those hard tires, might be throwing on a set of mediums. I do apologize for the issue for those of you who are viewing. CVTX Mask has started to lose focus on the Lone Retreat right now, but as I look down the grid, Neon has already climbed up into the 5th position, overtaking Zola going down the back straightaway, so Neon really setting himself up for a potential win in this race here once the drivers ahead finally make their stop. Oh, the Ferrari of Books has just had an accident there, and the entire front wing is off there at the end of the straightaway going through the chicanes, and that's going to take the Ferrari out of the points pain scenario. A disaster for Ferrari, who came in here with the lead in the manufacturer's points. As it stands now, though, it looks like neither of those Ferraris will be in points pain position by race end. V8 Irons is now mustering a charge against Zola. Zola has lost several positions very quickly in this race, and it looks like he might lose another one here to V8 Irons. Irons goes to the inside, heavy under braking for the 6th position. They make just a bit of contact, and it's going to be Irons who comes out in front. DRS has finally been enabled. This is going to be great for Veloce, who's wanting to stay ahead of Mr. Neon at this point in the race. Veloce right there behind Rydell. He lost a little bit of time against him going uphill, but now DRS kicks in, and the Aston Martin is closing rapidly on the Williams. to the outside, under braking, neck and neck. Who's it gonna be? And Veloce moves up into the third position now. Rydell has had a spin. And that will drop him all the way down to the 8th position. A disaster for Rydell. So now V8 Irons has caught Mr. Neon. EVD, Wiku, and Books are both in pit lane now, throwing on the soft tires, and they're going to try and make those tires go to the end of this race, I imagine. Rydell has a time penalty now levied against him for track violations. Oh, and Rydell's spun again! And he's off! And there's damage to that machine! And that's going to plummet him all the way down to the 10th position, likely farther than that, as drivers like Pure UFC, EVD, and Books sneak by. Oh, and he spins again! The tires are overheated, and now he's into the tire barrier, trying to merge onto the circuit right in front of his teammate! Pure UFC barely sneaks by. Rydell, the tires have completely melted on that car. He needs to get off those tires now, as he is out of the points-paying positions. Farther up the grid, V8 Irons is mustering a charge against Neon, and with some DRS assist will easily clear him going down the back straightaway. These two drivers, Irons and Neon. Oh, and Neon gets back on the cutback. They make contact, and Irons is around. No one is able to make a single clean pass today, it seems. Well, this means that Mr. Neon is going to end up inheriting the race lead after the top 3 drivers inevitably make their stop. But for ZVTX Mask, he is closing in on the Lone Retreat. It is now within a second. If he can just stay within a second in the DRS zones, he might be able to muster a charge against the leading Haas. Oh, and EVD is out of the race. He has had a crash going uphill through Rouge and Rodillion.
There has to be one, there always is.
And that will put us under a safety car once more, and we're going to go ahead and try and get EVD into the party and hear what he had to say that took him out there. Now there are only 12 cars left on the track. Lone Retreat is pitting, CVTX Mass is pitting, Veloce is pitting. This is exactly what Neon wanted to see. This will promote him up into 3rd, as Veloce is going to come into the pits. Zola is going to come into the pits. I'm curious if Flavor is going to pit at this point or not. Yes, he will. Flavor will come into the pits. V8 Irons is going to be angry because he was in position to inherit 2nd until he made contact with Neon and then spun him out. Coming into the party now is EVD, Wiku. EVD, go ahead, include your audio. You had 2 different accidents throughout Rouge, the second one taking you out. Go ahead and tell us about your day thus far.
That's not the setup. No, it's... I don't know what's... I've got not this setup, not to this track, and I spins everywhere.
Alright, I'm sorry to see that happen. Will you do better next week?
I don't know. What track is next week?
Hey, do we know what track next week it has? IPR.
Let me see if I can find it. should go on the calendar.
Alright, we don't know, sadly. Sorry about your accident, EBD. Do you have anything else to say
Okay.
about your race here?
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Good day.
yep.
See you next time.
Yep, see you next week. That's the word from EBD. Field is still not fully gathered up as Books and Rydell are taking their time to gather up. Here's the interesting thing, in my opinion. BCN still has not yet made a stop to get onto a different set of tires. Everyone else has made their stop, but the choice of tires are all over the place. Neon is on worn mediums. Lone Retreat is on softs. BCN is now making a stop. The Lone Retreat is on fresh softs. CVTX Mask has hards on. Xoro Lopez has softs, but he also has time penalties. V Irons has worn mediums. Dad Stop Gaming has worn hards. Zola has fresh softs. Flavor has fresh softs. PRUFC has slightly more mediums. BCN, they have just equipped fresh softs on his car. Books, they have equipped fresh mediums on his. Rydell has relatively fresh hards. This is going to be a very, very interesting race, to say the least. We're going to see all sorts of movement through the field when they finally go green again. We should be going green this lap, as BCN and Books will gather up to the back of the field very shortly. 7 drivers taken out in the first 2 laps of actual on-track racing. 2 of them from bullcrap disqualifications. Now we're only down to 12 drivers, where honestly, despite starting with a full field, we're looking at a scenario where it's possible we may not even see everyone in the top 10 finishing this race. I'm not saying that will happen, but I'm saying that is now a very serious possibility to consider. Alright, now that the entire field has gathered up, we should be getting the word that the safety car will be coming in very shortly here. Mr. Neon has not led under green thus far in the race. Lone Retreat has pretty much dominated this entire event, but now for the first time, that Haas is going to have to figure out a way to get by somebody ahead of him. Alright, here we are, to the line. This time, Neon does not back up the field like Lone Retreat did, and there's already a move going on for 3rd and 4th. Veloce to the inside, CVTX Mask. He will easily complete the overtake, going through the hairpin. Flavor is gotten by PRUFC, farther back in the grid as well. And now Rydell wants to try and capitalize. Dad Stop Gaming is extremely slow coming onto the back straightaway. Flavor, PRUFC, Rydell all on top of each other, being held up by Dad Stop Gaming. Under braking, who's going to gain positions, who's going to lose them? Contact between the Williams and the McLaren, and that bunches up BCN and Books behind. There's damage to Rydell's front wing. But the Lone Retreat is still there behind. Oh, and V8 Irons has had an instant. He has dropped badly through the field, has already fallen to 8th. He has wing damage as well. The Lone Retreat putting incredible pressure on Mr. Neon right now. On the fresher sauce, he's looking to the outside. Can't make it stick. Neon crosses over to defend the inside on the following corner. The Lone Retreat has a better exit out of that one, but not enough straight away to capitalize on it. A spirited fight for the win going on here, and V8 Irons has had a spin and is now plummeted out of the points-paying positions. Here comes Lone Retreat. He's got a great run. He's going to possibly make a move to the inside under braking. Huge dive. He knocks out the inside. He knocks out the exit, and it will be a perfect overtake by a Lone Retreat. He will take the lead back and will likely walk out here with the race win with that in mind, as Neon falls to second, and now we'll have to hold off Veloce behind.
Brilliant move there from Lone Retreat. Late braking into the chicane. Absolutely perfect to get through into the lead.
V8 Irons is in the pits, and Books and Beastian are squabbling for the last 2 points-paying positions right now. Oh, and Riot is out! Riot has crashed entering pit lane, and that's a full-course safety car! Again!
Oh no.
And now there are only 11 cars left. We're going to try and get Rydell in here and hear what he has to say. That's the second driver we've seen crash coming into the pit lane today. Thankfully, though, this didn't trigger a series of disqualifications in the process. Alright, so Ryder will not be joining us because apparently he is having an issue where his microphone is broken. Only 11 drivers left. As they come to the line, it will be 7 laps to go. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. For someone like Mr. Neon, CVTX Mass, Dad Stop Gaming, I'd go ahead and jump into the pit lane and throw on another set of softs. That's what Neon is doing. CVTX Mass staying out on the hards, though. Zola is pitting. Dad Stop Gaming is staying out on his worn hards. PRUFC is staying out. Zola is pitting. Flavor is pitting. BCN's pitting. V8 Irons is a long way back, and he was in pit lane when the yellow flag came out. This will work out for him, though, because he will get a chance to gather up to the back of the field, at least. But now we're going to have a lot of drivers with fresh softs at the back of the field trying to charge their way up through the grid here. This is going to be a very interesting run from the back to the front. So we should be going green this lap. Well, on the upcoming lap, lap 17. So we'll be going green with 6 laps to go. I still have to wonder what CVTX Mass and Dad Stop Gaming's strategy was to go ahead and throw on hards to go to the end of the race. It seems very bizarre to elect hard, slow tire compounds. The two of them were getting passed right and left on the last stint of green. So 2 slightly worn soft tire compounds lead the race, followed by 2 slight to moderately worn hards, followed by another set of mediums that are slight to moderately worn, and then there's a bunch of drivers with soft tires. Stand by for just a second. Alright, coming to the green flag here with 6 laps to go. Will Veloce be able to muster anything against the lone retreat and force the leading Haas driver to make a mistake? Like last... Oh, we're not going green yet, apparently. The pace car is staying out on circuit. Okay. So that means we will be going green with only 5 laps to go, then. Interesting. Alright, so another long circuit around Spa here. And again, no one's elected to pit, so everyone's sticking with whatever tires they already have on at this point. Irons holding back from the grid just a little bit. I have to wonder if maybe he wants to try and avoid getting extra penalties. As we look at the penalties right now, Veloce 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Zola has 3 seconds. V8 Irons has 3 seconds. Everyone else, no penalties yet. So that's very interesting. Typically, we see a lot more penalties in an XRL race, but that's not the case here. Granted, we've run a lot of this race under yellow flag, but...
Yeah, I was going to say they haven't had much of a chance to get those penalties because of the safety cars, but it is good to see little penalties. But that penalty, the 6 seconds for Veloce, is obviously not going to be friendly, especially with all these safety cars we're having, because obviously everyone's very close. And I think we are going to see Veloce, even if he can keep up the front on the restarts, he probably will because he's on the soft. I reckon we're going to start to see him fall back at the end of the race with that penalty, which is unfortunate, but that does happen, and he's going to have to really push if he wants to get good points.
There's the word safety car will be coming in this lap. For Beastian, it's going to be a very interesting scenario because he is the only driver not in points paying positions right now. But realistically, if he can just keep the nose clean and keep it on track, he might be able to still get points just due to the way that the penalty countbacks are going to work. Alright, I'm going to be focusing on Mr. Neon as they come to the green flag here because he's going to be on fresh, soft tires while everyone ahead is on either more worn or more worn and slower tires. Alright, and we are underway. Everyone seems to be relatively smooth, putting the power down. Neon already right underneath Books, PRUFC trying to make a move on Dad Stop Gaming farther up the grid. Now the run downhill here. And through Al Rouge and Brazilian. PRUFC to the inside of Dad Stop Gaming, and he's hit the inside wall. PRUFC with an accident going down the back straightaway, and now he will fall to 6th. Neon is ready to capitalize. Actually, he's going to get held up by the Williams just a little bit. Here comes the Alpine to the inside. He'll get it. PRUFC putting up a fight, but now he has to contend with Zola, who's denying the inside lane to him. And now that's V8 Irons, who is coming around the outside. So everything's gone off the rails for the Williams of PRUFC. He has now fallen to 9th and might even lose that to XRL Flavor. Books trying to make a move on Dad Stop Gaming. The Mercedes slides wide. Here comes Neon with a huge head of steam, way faster than Dad Stop. The hard tires have they don't have anything. Frankly, he's barely keeping up with the drivers ahead, if even that. Now Zola has a great run on Dad Stop Gaming around the outside. He's in the dirt, but he will make the overtake stick. And that's V8 Irons now ready to capitalize contact. And that's Dad Stop, who gets pushed off circuit by Zola. Zola's not going to be happy with that one bit. Irons, Zola, side by side through the chicane. At the front, it is V8 Irons. Zola now loses the position position of Dad Stop Gaming as his line was badly compromised going through the final chicane. Neon has jumped up to 5th and is now going to put pressure on Books ahead, who's on worn medium tires. Neon with the fresh sauce, making a charge, trying to get back into the podium positions. You see, even with the draft, the Alpine is not well set up for straight line speed. He is not gaining on the Ferrari on the straights at all. He is within half a second, though. And he is on much fresher, much faster tires than the 2 drivers ahead of him. PRUFC, time penalty for track violation after coming out of pit lane, but he is still on track, just way back there in 11th. Zola has gotten back by Dad Stop Gaming, who is now going to have to deal with Flavor and Beastian closing in on him. Neon right there behind Books in Sector 2, looking for a way by that Ferrari. Not close enough to make a move yet. And he actually has to pedal way back to not run into Books. Coming into Sector 3. So now they're on another long straightaway that works in Books' favor. That machine absolutely set up for straight line speed. Excuse me. While Neon's is much more set up for the corners. Veloce, fastest lap, 146.015. DRS has been enabled. Now Irons has caught Neon. Irons now with the fast lap, 145.935, as the battle for 4th rounds the hairpin. Neon, again, not able to keep up with Books on the straights, but now they go up through Al Rouge and Rodillion, and Neon shoots out of there like a cannon. Look at this run he's got on the Ferrari. He looks to the inside, going down the back straightaway. And it will be an easy overtake with DRS assist. Irons going to shoot to the inside, can't make it stick against Books, but it looks like that position will go to Irons next. Now for Neon, it's just 2.7 seconds up the road until he gets to CVTX Mask, who is on hard tires, so he'll be even slower. Irons trying to muster a charge against Books once more. He looks outside, he looks inside, can't make it stick. Irons just trying to outrun time penalties right now. XRL Flavor has caught Dad Stop Gaming. Oh, and Veloce's had an accident! Veloce! The entire front wing is off the car! And he'll slide sideways, and this will drop him to 7th, 8th. He'll actually have to replace the entire front wing. This might take him out of the points-paying positions. So now, Neon's charge against CVTX Mask is a charge for what will be the 2nd position. Irons looking to the inside of Books, can't make it stick, very nearly clips his front wing up to Ferrari. Now they come back onto the main front straightaway. It's neck and neck. Irons to the outside, Books to the inside, and it's going to be Irons who has the position. Books following, but with the older and harder tires, he can't keep up with those on the fresh sauce. 2 laps to go. Neon trying to close in on CVTX Mask. Beastian just got a penalty for speed in the pit lane. He had to pit as well for damage. Farther back, Flavor is within DRS range of Dad Stop Gaming. The rear DRS pops open. The McLaren is right behind the Mercedes. He looks to the inside. Neck and neck as they enter the corner. And the McLaren will promote himself up into the 7th position now. Books trying to keep pace with Irons, knowing that if he can stay within 3 seconds of Irons, he'll get that position back due to penalty count back. Irons, though, is closing in rapidly on Neon, and despite having much softer tires, Neon is honestly not closing at all on CVTX Mask, despite Mask having extremely hard tires. Veloce, another accident! And now this will drop him out of the points-paying positions. coming to the white flag. The lone retreat started on the pole and has led all the laps in the green except one. Now the question is, can he hold on to lead the final one? He has 5 seconds over CVTX Mask, and interestingly enough, that Mercedes is actually closing a small amount on the lead Haas. Mr. Neon is third, and he is not closing on second at all. He's going to have to hold on to third against V8 Irons, it would appear, because Irons is the fastest driver on track right now. Irons has DRS going down the back straightaway. This is the last time that he'll have DRS against the car ahead. He closes in under braking, throws it to the inside, can't make it stick, has to back out. Neon now is starting to close in on Mask, but the gap is still around 2 seconds, and Neon has to put more focus keeping Irons behind him than trying to chase down the Mercedes ahead. Despite choosing one of the most bizarre tire strategies I think we've ever seen, it looks very likely that Mask is going to still get second. Veloce has just overtaken Beastian for a 10th there in the hairpin. Neon falling off Mask is falling off pace, but Neon is not closing because he is fighting with Irons. This will be Irons' last chance at third position, as the lone retreat is going to come to the line. He's going to finish this race with a 7-second winning margin. The battle is here for the third position. Can Irons do anything against Neon? It doesn't look like it because of the way penalty countback is going to work out. Lone retreat wins. CVTX Max comes home third. Neon third. CVTX Max second. Neon third. Books fourth. Irons fifth. Xoro will be the sixth driver across the line. And Xoro Flavor will likely come home in the 7th position, I imagine. Yes, 7th for Flavor. Here comes Dad Stop Gaming. He will finish 8th. 9th should go to PRUFC. And then 10th will go to Veloce, and 11th will go to Beastian. And that will be the end of the race once 10th and 11th finally cross the line. And your winner is the Lone Retreat. An absolutely dominating performance. Nothing held the driver in the Haas back today. All right, and there you are. There is your final win, or an outstanding run from the Haas driver here. All right, we're going to try and get our race winner into the party here to hear what he has to say about his dominant performance today. All right, inviting the Lone Retreat into the party now. And in the end, V8 Irons had the fastest lap of the day with a 145.718. All right, coming into the party now is the Lone Retreat, your race winner from the pole position. Retreat, go ahead, include your audio. Outstanding drive today. What do you have to say about your race? Alright, you absolutely dominated, led all but one of the laps under the green flag conditions. I just want to say that was a fantastic performance from you, and it was wonderful to see you do that. Also, we went green with only 5 laps to go, and despite that, you pulled out with a almost 7.5 second winning margin at the end of the race. I just want to say, like, that is almost unheard of. That's like the difference between a 2019 Mercedes and a 2020 Ferrari. Kind of crazy. No, the guy behind you who had all those time penalties crashed out and fell way down the order, actually. All right, well, congratulations on your win, and we'll look forward to you having more success in future races within XRL. So, well, IPR, it was a very chaotic race. For your winner, a perfect story, but for almost everyone else farther back in the grid, a tale of heartache and hardships. Only 11 cars finished in this race, with 5 of them going out on the very first lap alone. An absolute mess.
Yeah, it was, I think, safe to say, not the cleanest of races that we have had, but I think it was still enjoyable towards the end once we sort of got properly racing. I think, obviously, well done to the winner. Very good. He was helped slightly by the fact of the safety cars, but as you said, that 7-second gap in the last 5 laps was very impressive, and a few new drivers as well, and we got to see how they performed. So overall, I think it was a fairly decent race to watch, other than all those safety cars.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, in about an hour's time on this same channel, we'll be watching the we'll be watching the XRRL, the Realistic Racing Series, Go At It, and I'll be hosting that broadcast. But you have an hour to go ahead and calm down, check something out, and then tomorrow will be normal X1, X2, X3 things. But until then, I've been Saintlayer13. I've been joined by IPR56. I want to wish you good luck and goodbye today. And we'll see some of you again in a short while.